Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to Real Talk with Mary Grace. I'm looking for my pen. Come on in. Come on in and share this. Say hello as you come in. Where's my pen? Good to see everybody. Please share and say hello as you're coming in. I might have to go find my pen. How does that happen? How does one lose their pen? Hold that thought. Here we go. I'm back. Okay. Hello, everybody. Had to get my pen. Good to see you. Welcome in. Come on, everybody. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Cloud Hub. And thank you to everybody who's watching on all of these platforms. I do have moderators in every platform. So if you're here to troll, bye. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm Mary Grace. This is Real Talk with Mary Grace. You're on Mary Grace Media. And so I'm glad to have everybody here. I'm just trying to pull up my live stream here. Here we go. And hello, everybody. So looks like a good day for a live stream. I see people coming in on YouTube. I'm trying to add some moderators over there. All right. Good to see everybody. Now, before I continue, I want to wait just a minute for more people to come in because I need to take care of some business. And let's see. Okay, Linda, I just added you as a moderator on YouTube. If it doesn't work, you might have to go out and come back in, but try that. All right. So here we go. Hope everybody's having a great day. As you're coming in, please share this. One of the things that I keep asking on Facebook, and I'll ask it all the time, is that you share this broadcast into groups because the algorithm on Facebook is a little bit tricky, but I've kind of figured it out. And one of the things that really helps is if you click the share button and then share it into groups that you belong to. And Facebook likes their own content. So if you take the YouTube link and share it into Facebook, they don't like that so much, but they do like their own links. And the other thing that helps with Facebook is that if you're on Facebook and you make a comment either during the show or afterwards, it actually boosts the algorithm. And one of the ways it does that is, for example, if you see somebody's comment on my video on Facebook and you reply to that comment, it actually will show up in your news feed and then more people will see it. Because have you ever noticed that when you share something to your page on Facebook, nobody ever sees it? It's because there's no engagement. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to hit the hearts, we're trying to hit the likes, hit the love button, all that. Don't hit the frown or the angry because that downvotes it. And so anything that you do that's positive, that drives engagement, that is relevant to the conversation, Facebook sees that and they promote and put the broadcast in the feed without us having to give them money. It's organic engagement. And so I know that sounds a little complicated. It's not really. I'm just telling you the reason that I keep asking you to do that. And when you come back to watch the replay, no matter what platform you're on, please leave a comment and hit the thumbs up and follow and subscribe and hit the notification button so that you'll never miss a broadcast. When you're on Cloud Hub, if you're new to that, go to the channels tab and find my channel 111. Click watch now, click subscribe, put in your email. You're just going to get emails when I go live. They're not going to spam you with a bunch of crazy emails. So I think that's it for the housekeeping. So welcome everybody. It's good to see you. And again, I'm Mary Grace. This is Mary Grace Media. You're watching Real Talk with Mary Grace. And before we go on, I wanted to announce something, and I wanted to get everybody to join in prayer with me because there's a situation that some of you may have heard about, and that is that Brandon Strzok, who is the founder of the Walkaway campaign, he was actually arrested yesterday by the FBI, and this might be news to some of you. It was actually on the news, and so a lot of people have seen it. But I've been in touch with some people from his team, and I can give you a little bit of details on this. He's been indicted on 3 federal counts, and this is going back to what happened on January 6th at the Capitol. I can assure you that he is innocent, and I'm going to give you an update right now. He is in court as we speak, and he has a very highly recommended defense attorney who has been advising him and working with him, and he is being represented even as we speak in Nebraska. I'm talking about Brandon Strzok. He is the founder of the Walk Away campaign, and so he's in court, and so I just wanted to pray for him now and just lift him up. And so if you could just join me in prayer, because he spent the night in custody, and what they're asking for right now is for him to be out on bond and to be able to travel freely. And so at some point, we believe that they'll bring him back to Washington, D.C., and we can get into the ins and outs of that and the craziness of the situation. But yeah, I just wanted to lift him up. So just please join me in prayer. God, we come to you right now and we lift up our brother Brandon to you. And we ask for favor. We ask that you would put him in a situation with a judge who understands and sees justice and who has a very clear grasp on the craziness of the situation, and who really can divide the truth from the lies that are being thrown at him. It's very clear to us that he's being targeted, that he's being persecuted because of his political stance. And so, Lord, we just ask that you would position the right people around him, that you would put your angels around him, that he would have divine encounters, and that you would use this situation for good. Just like when Joseph was thrown into prison and he got promoted over and over and over again, we just speak that over Brandon, that you would use this situation to bring him to faith and to just give him peace, just overwhelm him and flood him with your peace and remove all fear from him in Jesus' name. And you can put your prayers in the chats as well, and I will let him know that you're praying for him. If you have any scriptures that come to mind that you want sent his way, I can get them to him. And so, I really want to focus on the winning right now, because my thinking on this, and I was talking to one of his closest friends yesterday, and we agreed that they picked the wrong person. And it's he I don't know if you follow Brandon. If you do, you probably know that he has literally hundreds of thousands of moms and aunties around the world who love him. And so they basically, what these people have done is they've awakened the tiger mom in all of us, right? And, because he's so loved, and because there are intercessors and prayer warriors that are just holding him up and lifting him up every single day. And so this is a bad move by the feds to do this to him, because they're trying to make an example of him, and what they're going to do is they're actually going to elevate him, and his platform is going to get even stronger. I know that, that, and right now we need really to have him in a position where he really sees God and where he has the strength of God to just bring him through this. And so, it's we know the outcome is good. We know that God works all things together for good. And so we just want to lift him up. And thank you everybody for your prayers. So I'm not going to go into the details of the indictments and what he's being charged with. Let's just suffice it to say that this was targeted, that he was targeted, and that the people who are pushing this move to prosecute and to persecute uh, conservatives are thinking that they have a scalp. And so what they did to Roger Stone, what they did to Papadopoulos, what they did to General Flynn, this is a similar situation. It's obviously targeted persecution, and it's very sad to me, because I have actually been one of those people who has defended our law enforcement, and who has defended the FBI, especially when it comes to investigations and prosecutions and arrests and things like that, because all for the past 5 years, we have known and seen obvious crimes that have taken place, and we've had ample evidence. And then we find out that the FBI had the information and they just didn't do anything about it. We have a situation where the son of the person that they put in the White House has a laptop that has obvious crimes against children on it, crimes against humanity, bribery, corruption, really massive crimes that would put people away for years. And the FBI was sitting on that evidence for a year or more, and they didn't do anything about it. And they held on to it, and it actually it was evidence that would sway people's opinions in voting for the person that they put in the White House. So this is really it's very sad to see this, because this used to be one of the most revered institutions in our nation. And here we have a team of FBI agents who have shown up at the home of Brandon's parents in the wee hours of the morning, storming in, frightening everybody, confiscating his electronics, you name it. And, the charges, when you see the charges and you look at the way that this all took place, it's just sickening. It's sickening. And while we're talking about him, I wanted to give you some information about how to support his legal defense, because Walkaway has set up a political action committee, a PAC, but the PAC cannot pay for any legal fees for him personally. And so we don't know how much this is going to cost. We're praying that it will be over quickly, but we don't know. And good representation is expensive. So I'm going to give you this information. I'm going to flash it up on the screen. So please take a screenshot if you can. Here it is. Look on the screen, the Brandon Straka Legal Defense. So it's Venmo at BAKARTS, Venmo at BAKARTS, or Brandon Strzok, that's BRANDONSTRAKA .podia.com. So for those of you who are just listening, that's the information. So please, I'm going to leave that up for a few minutes. And that is how you can contribute and help his legal defense. This is a real situation, and he is in federal court right now as we speak. And I'm waiting for word for an update about this. And so he needs your prayers and he needs your support. So everybody just know that everything that you're doing, he really appreciates. So thank you. Somebody asked if we should call Lynn Wood. So he has a defense attorney right now representing him, and there are also some other prominent people who've gotten involved who are helping him navigate this. And so he has a really good team around him right now, and I know that they'll make the right decision if it comes to that. That who I don't know the details of who they're going to reach out to, but he does have a very good support network right now, and he has a good team, very strong people around him who are supporting him, very strong believers who are in his corner. So but just do keep him in your prayers, because this is so obvious what they're doing, and it's really tragic that this is in happening in America right now, that people are being persecuted for their political views. It's really really tragic, for exercising their First Amendment rights, and he's one of us. There's been some speculation on the boards from the Anons that Brandon was actually a plant, and that he was what we would call controlled opposition. And no, that if you see any of that type of thing, just put it down immediately. I know Brandon. I've spent time with him. I've met him. I know people who are very close to him. I used to volunteer for Walkaway, and I can tell you that Brandon is as genuine as the day is long. And he's one of the kindest, most hardworking people. He has a work ethic like nothing I've ever seen. and his desire really is to bring people into freedom, and to bring them out of the captivity of the fake news and of the the mind traps that they've been in for so long. And you know, President Trump was the catalyst that got him to this movement, but this is not going to stop. This wasn't about this was about disrupting a system that had people entrapped in lies. And so his call to walk away is to walk away from all of that. He's not a violent person. Anybody who has ever seen him, if you recall, over the summer when he was in Dallas, he was actually physically attacked. Does anyone remember that? And he was live streaming it, and you could hear and see the fear. He was genuinely afraid. He's not a violent person. He doesn't condone violence. I've never known him to do that. I've never heard him do that ever. And so I just want to make that very clear. So if you're hearing chatter that this was something that he is somebody that he's not, I'm going to put that to rest right now. That is not who he is. He is one of the most genuine, kind, loving, and caring people that I know. I've met his parents, same thing. He comes from a very solid family. And so I just want to stand up to him and give him that love and shout out right now. Okay, I've got his legal defense information up on the screen right here. If anybody wants to take another screenshot of that, I'm going to switch the graphics in just a second. So let's okay, we ready? I'm going to switch that. Somebody's asking about Ali Alexander. I have some opinions about him. I'm not going to go into that right now because I don't know. I don't have enough information about him. I don't know him personally. I think that you would probably be pretty well served to go and check out Tor, Tore. Tor says she knows a lot more about him. There are people from the Tea Party movement who know a lot about him and his background. I don't have enough information to speak on that. I am speaking personally about who I know Brandon to be. I know him as a friend, and so and as a fellow patriot in this fight. So maybe Millie can put up the link to Tor's channel if you could do that. Okay, so I'm going to switch over the information on the screen here. Okay, now I want to switch topics here, and I want to talk a little bit. I want to talk about the president. I want to talk about Donald Trump. And there's been an interesting development since yesterday, and that is that the president announced the creation of the office of the former president. And it was kind of interesting because the announcement that went out was from the office of the former president, and then some of the anons who are posting on Telegram are pointing out that a couple of things. They're putting information up about what is known as the Winter White House, Mar-a-Lago. And the interesting thing about that is that the president has relocated there, and so the president has relocated there, and there's some information about it. Oh, I'm just trying to find something on Telegram here. Hold on. Let me just see. Okay. Yeah, so there's some information on Telegram about the Winter White House. And I want to just grab this screenshot, this screen grab of what they were saying. It's very interesting because the White House was actually built. Mar-a-Lago supposedly was built as an alternative to the White House in D.C. It has bomb shelters in it. It has a skiff in it, and it's very secure. And I think it's actually bigger than the White House. And so I think that it's very interesting that uh, that he's there, and we know that there are a lot of facts. There are a lot of facts that have been presented. The situation is not over. The What am I saying? Okay, so on YouTube and Twitter and everybody else has declared that the person that is in the White House has been named the president, and that official sources have sworn him in and declared him, and they're quick to remind you of that as well. And so, you know, we know that there's evidence that indicates a lot to the contrary. And so when I refer to the president, I'm referring to President Trump. So just to be very clear about that. And so in case anybody gets their panties in a wad over that, anybody that has been president now or past is referred to as the president. And so you can do with that what you will. But the person that was installed in the White House that was sworn in last week, there is plenty of evidence to indicate that that is a um, fluid situation, I guess we should say. I'm looking at the comments here. Okay, so the thing about the office of the former president, it's very interesting because the there's a post that was put up by the military intelligence insiders that some people follow, and it talks about former president, and it says what former president used the military to restore democracy, basically. And I'm trying to find that post. I had a link to it, and of course, I can't find it now because it's not opening properly. Let me just see. Um, and his new slogan is "Save America." Save America. And so I think that's very interesting. So it went from "Make America Great Again" to "Save America." Um, Let me just give me just a second because I want to find this specific post about the the former president. It's not easy to search things on Telegram. It's a little bit tricky, a little tricky. Uh, hmm, darn it. I know it was on his timeline, and I don't know why he took it off. I'm looking at IET. Okay, if anybody can find it, please send it to me. Um, SCIF is a secure, compartmentalized information fortress, maybe something like that. So it's a completely secure space where the president will go, or where anybody can go to exchange information, look at top secret information, and it's completely insulated. There's no way to transmit or receive any signal. Facility. Thank you, Delia. Secure compartmentalized information facility. I like the word fortress. Okay. So the basic point of this is that the White House, the Winter White House, is something that that the the president has called Mar-a-Lago the Winter White House a lot ever since the beginning of his presidency. And now he's there, and now we're finding out that the now we're finding out that there's more information about the White House that indicates that it really is really, I mean, about Mar-a-Lago, that indicates that it really is set up to be command central, just like the White House. It has 3 bomb shelters, apparently. So that's very interesting. And there's also something very interesting that I found out. I talked to somebody that was doing events for the president one time down at Mar-a-Lago, and he was asked to bring in several tons of sand and to dump it in a certain place on the property. And he wasn't sure why he was doing it. And then he told me he later found out that he was doing that to create a place for them to park the beast. And so it was basically set up so that the sand was all around the beast, like mountains of sand, which I thought was pretty interesting. Um, I might have found, let me see if I found that thing about. hmm, So strange. The things that I save, they just end up disappearing, and I don't know how that happens. It's like they just go off of my iPad. All right. Okay, somebody's actually giving us the information about the winter White House. Okay, so on YouTube, I'm just going to read this because you have what I was trying to find. Um, all right, so we know that Trump watched the election from a skiff, right, up at in DC. Um, okay, the post serial heiress gave Mar-a-Lago to the government for the winter White House. And then Trump bought it. The government sold it, I think, because they didn't want to pay the expense of keeping it up, and Trump bought it. Yeah, Julia, Telegram is eating up your phone storage. You can clear all of that out. Somebody explained to her how to do that. You can clear the storage. I had to do that anyway yesterday. Okay, let me get back on topic. So there's something very interesting. There's something very interesting about what's going on because people have been seeing a lot of crazy things happening. Like there's anomalies. There's weird things happening at the White House. There's indications that maybe things aren't as they seem. And even people who voted for Biden are starting to notice this. I mean, the buyer's remorse is setting in, and he's not even a week into his presidency. I think he's up to 37 executive orders. And if he has a majority in Congress and the Senate, why aren't they working with him? Why aren't they fast tracking actual laws for him? That's very interesting. And now we're finding out that he himself is saying that he doesn't have enough votes to go through with impeaching our president. So I think that's just very interesting. Um, I think it's a really interesting thing to think about. So um, now I wanted to wanted to tell you what I'm thinking, and I want to be very clear. I don't have an insider track on this. I don't I don't have somebody feeding me information from inside the president's secret war council or anything like that. I just know what I think. I know what God shows me. I know what Holy Spirit shows me. I know that this is not over. And I really do believe that that our president, well, I know that the president was elected legally with legal votes. I know that it was stolen. I know that we have the evidence. And there are some things that I've noticed about um, his statements and his actions, even from the very beginning, from about November 4th, 5th, 6th, things like that. Before we started to see any evidence coming out in hearings and affidavits and whistleblowers and all of that, before we saw any of that, the president tweeted out, "We have the evidence." And I think that's significant. And that's something that people need to hold on to because if he said we have the evidence, then what was going on for the past 2 months that put us in a position of sort of waiting on the courts and waiting on these legislatures and waiting on lawyers and all of these people to do the right thing and waiting on Pence and having them do things through the legal channels, right? And this is a question that I've been asking a lot. And I think a lot of people, if you look back and you think about that, you think, okay, hold on a second. If he had the evidence, then what's going on here? And I theorized even then, I theorized that we were watching it all play out in real time on election night. And I did have that confirmed. I had that confirmed by a very solid source that we were gathering all of the data and we watched it all play out. If you go back and look at his tweets from and his statements from last year, even the Democrats were beating the drum of mail-in voting as early as February and March, and so we know that they had already planted the pandemic as a way to push mail-in voting to steal the election. He knew that too. There's no way that he didn't know that. And he even said it. He said they're going to manufacture hundreds of thousands of ballots. They're going to do it overseas. He laid it out. If you really pay attention to what the president says and said, he really tells you everything that they're going to do. He tells you their playbook. And so looking back in retrospect, we look at this and we think, okay, well, why didn't he stop it? Okay, so that's the first question. He told us they were going to commit the crime. Why didn't he stop the crime? It would be just awesome if he had just intervened and stopped the crime. Like you're like, okay, Dad, why didn't you stop the burglar from coming in the house, right? Well, think about it. We I think we know that when you are making a major bust, you actually have to allow the crime to go through so that you can catch them in the act. And then the next question is, okay, we caught them in the act. Then why didn't we just grab them all up and collar them right away and throw them all in jail and reverse the fake results? Why didn't we do that? Why did he allow it to play out this way? Why did we go through the maddening frustration of getting turned away by the courts, by getting turned away by these cowardly legislature? All of that. How come it's gone to this far? Why didn't he stop it before they swore in a usurper on the 20th of January? Surely they could have stopped it by now. Why did they allow it to play out to this degree? Isn't that an interesting question? And so I've been thinking about this because I think we all have been asking that question, and we're asking what now? If in fact for example, the military intelligence was gathering all of the evidence, if in fact that was the case, then why didn't he stop it on day two, day three? Why didn't he stop it from happening? Why didn't he round them all up? Well, I think we know the obvious answers to that, which is that if he had done that at that time, he would have been branded a dictator, and the history would not be kind to him because it would have been a situation where his feelings were hurt. He's a big fat crybaby, and and he just had to get his way, and so he ousted the president and he staged a coup. This is the narrative that the media was pushing all along. And so whether he did it prior to the 20th, whether he did it through legal channels, through legislative channels, or through the military, anything that he did would be interpreted as a coup. Do you see that now? And so we know that he couldn't have done it that way. And now we're looking at a week out, almost a week out since this happened. And something is very interesting that's happening now. Well, if you recall, there was a time when he did an interview and he said, I always thought, what would it be like if I lost everything, and then I started to see who my real friends were. And he did actually lose everything. He's been through bankruptcies, and so that revealed to him who his real friends were. And when he announced his presidency or his candidacy in 2015, he turned to his family and he said, "This is where we find out who our real friends are." And so that day, people started turning on him, people that he had thought were friends. And then day after day after day, week after week, month after month, the American public and President Trump saw in real time unfolding. Hey, Michael, on YouTube. The American public saw in real time unfolding all of the people who abandoned our president and who turned their backs on him, and in some cases stabbed him in the back. And so we saw this steady progression of people in all walks of life. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, the people in his own party started turning on him from November 3rd on, even people that he had endorsed. And so it's just this constant unfolding. It's like peeling back the layers of an onion, right? I mean, you're just shedding. In a way, it's liberating because you're shedding all of the dead weight, and you're getting down to the very core of who's loyal to you. And look at and so now, okay, we saw that happening all this time. It also revealed to us, to the American people, the people who are traitors to our country, the people who are double minded, who are talking out of both sides of their mouth, and they're telling us, you know, we love America, we support our military, we're for the people, we're in Washington for you, we're here to do the will of the American people. And then they turn around and stand up on the 6th of January and say, I cannot reject these electoral votes. I'm going to certify the lie. And those were Republicans. And so every single day that's gone by has shown us another layer of treachery. And I want you to ask yourself the question: had Donald Trump come into the presidency and had an easy 4 years, just like most other presidents did? Now, sure, the Democrats picked on Republicans all the time and they tried to vilify them, but this was like gladiator fighting every single day. I mean, if those of you who have been close to this fight and have been in it and defending the president, you know what I mean. I mean, when last week when we got back from Washington and I was with my friends, I looked at them and I said, it feels like we've been campaigning for 5 straight years, and everybody's exhausted. And it's been fun, it's been exciting, it's been wonderful, but it's also been just constant fighting. I mean, it's like being in a relationship with like a contentious person that's just constantly picking at you, picking, pick. They're just trying to wear you down. And that's what it's been like all this time. So think about that. Think about where we've been. Now, it's been exhausting, it's been frustrating, it's been maddening, but it's also been one of the most eye-opening experiences that we have had as a society, as a nation, as a world. Would you not agree? Had he not declared his presidency, had he not run for president, we would already be in the grips of extreme globalism and communism. So think about that. Now, um, now here we are. Here we are, a week after the installment of the usurper, and it's very interesting because we're finding out even more people who are falling away from this president, who are abandoning him, who are turning their back on him. We're seeing people in the church who are doing this, right? And so it is, in my opinion, it is really God's way of cleaning house. It's like a mighty rushing wind that is blowing through every single corner of every single dwelling and sweeping out into the street those people who are disloyal or who are cowardly or who just don't have the moral fortitude to stay in this race. And I think it's very interesting. So we're getting our eyes opened. And if you've ever been in a bad relationship, if you've ever been in an abusive relationship, when you see how bad it is, when you start to wake up to how bad it is, um, you can put it in Telegram, Millie. When you start to see how bad it is, you it's painful at first, right? You just think, okay, I don't want to see this. This is too hard. I've been with this person for so long, and I I don't think I can handle it. But then when you come out of the shock side of it, you actually are grateful to see it because it ends, right? You're able not only to get out of it, but you're able to move on with more clarity, with more strength. And you have to decide, right? And each person has to decide, okay, is this going to make me stronger? Am I going to grow from this? Or am I going to just wither up and die? So am I a coward or do I have courage to grow? And as a nation, as a world, we're in a place where we really are being given a choice of where we go now. And I want to be very clear. I am not saying that this is over. I am not saying that our president is finished because he's not. Okay. What I'm saying to you is that there is there is an opportunity to prepare for the comeback tour, not the comeback in 2022, not in 2024. I'm not talking about reelection. I'm talking about when President Trump comes back from what I consider his vacation, his well-deserved R&R. What is it going to be like? Who are you going to be? What kind of person are you going to be in this fight? And I've really been praying about this because, so many of us are battle weary, and there is a lot more swamp draining that has to happen, and it's not going to be pretty. But the thing that I've been seeing is that it's actually going to be fun. I think that we're pivoting to where it's actually going to be really fun. It's going to be fun because there's going to be such a major shift. And Kat Kerr, for example, has been telling us that Kat Kerr has been telling us that God is telling her to eat cake and to celebrate the win, that the win is already determined. And I believe that too. And right now, because we're so battle weary and because we're not hearing from our guy regularly like we used to, it's a little bit hard to see that. It's hard to believe that, but I truly believe that. And I was talking to a friend last night, and she was telling me that every time she prays or thinks about this, she keeps hearing the song "Dancing in the Streets." You guys know that song? Everybody around the world, we're dancing in the streets. You know that one? So think about that. Get it in your head because it's all over the world. Because what this president is here for and what God has really ordained him for and chosen him for, and you don't have to believe me with this, it doesn't make it less true, is really to drain the worldwide swamp and to restore prosperity and life worldwide. And God showed me years ago that Donald Trump is a father of nations, and I really believe that this is the time that we're entering into. And I want you to embrace that with me because even though right now we're kind of tired and people are licking their wounds and they're trying to figure out, okay, what just happened, right? It is not the end of the story, and God is bringing us into a time of celebration with our president at the forefront of that. And so somebody said, "Oh, you can sing too." Yeah, I do sing. Okay, but I wanted to read you this psalm because I was thinking about uh, this because we're coming up to Super Bowl 55, and our president is 45, right? And so we're coming up to Super Bowl 55, and I was asking God, I was like, okay, what's the significance of 55? And when you look in coded language, when you see 5 for 5, that means loud and clear, right? Five is also the number of grace, so 55 is double grace. And so I was looking at Isaiah chapter 55, and Millie is saying on YouTube that I used to do worship nights on Periscope. Those are coming back. We're gonna get it set up to do that. Okay. So let me just read you this. Yeah, so somebody on Facebook said father of nations. Yeah, he really is a father of nations. And so I wanted to read you Isaiah 55 though, because this is really encouraging and there's celebration here. Because one of the things that I want you to understand is that the word of God is living and active, and his word does not return empty. And he has spoken in many ways to many people that President Trump is our president and that he is going to serve 2 terms. There have been many, many prophets who've heard that. So I want to read you this. This is from the New American Standard. Okay, it says, "Ho, everyone who thirsts, Come to the waters, and you who have no money, come buy and eat. Uh, Come buy wine and milk without money and without cost. Why do you spend money for what is not bread, and your wages for what does not satisfy? Listen carefully to me and eat what is good, and delight yourself in abundance. I think he's saying eat cake. Uh, okay. Incline your ear and come to me. Listen that you may live, and I will make an everlasting covenant with you, according to the faithful mercies shown to David. Behold, I have made him a witness to the peoples, a leader and commander for the people. Behold, you will call a nation you do not know, and a nation which knows you not will run to you. Think about that. The president is the father of nations. He's the father of nations, not just America. I want you to remember that because you're going to see that unfolding in the next 4, 6, 10 years. You're going to see that. You're going to see the fruits of that. I promise. As okay, because the Lord your God, even the Holy One of Israel, for he has glorified you. Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts, and let him return to the Lord, and he will have compassion on him, and to our God, for he will abundantly pardon. I want to say something about that really quickly because one of the things that you saw happening in the last couple of months is the president continually called on people and gave them the opportunity to turn and to do the right thing. And God is giving people that opportunity now. And some people are waking up and they're realizing the error of their ways. But I feel like in this instance, with the stealing of the vote and all of the crimes that have been committed by the globalists and the cabal, I feel like their time is running short. And so if you're one of those people or you participated in a crime, make sure that you understand that God is giving you an opportunity to return and repent, but that your window is short, and that there is coming a day when these crimes will be persecuted. That's my opinion about that. You can do with it what you want. Okay, so this is what God says: For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Now listen to this part. For as the rain and the snow come down from heaven and do not return there without watering the earth and making it bear and sprout and furnishing seed to the sower and bread to the eater, so shall my word be which goes forth from my mouth. It shall not return to me empty, without accomplishing what I desire and without succeeding in the matter for which I sent it. For you will go out with joy and be led forth with peace. The mountains and the hills will break forth into shouts of joy before you, and all the trees of the field will clap their hands. Instead of the thorn bush, the cypress will come up, and instead of the nettle, the myrtle will come up, and it will be a memorial to the Lord for an everlasting sign which shall not be cut off. So think about that. He literally says, "You will go out with joy and be led forth with peace." That's dancing in the streets. That's joy. And the word of God does not return empty. He doesn't throw it out into the void and that it doesn't come back and do what he accomplished, what he speaks and accomplish what he speaks. And so I am hopeful, and I want to encourage you to be hopeful, and I want to encourage you to speak the truth over what is happening, because our nation is not being turned over to evil. That is not God's will for America. It's not his will for the world. It is his will that none should perish. And so I believe that this story is far from over. And there is, when God speaks a thing, it comes to pass. We know that. And so I really want to encourage you. And I want to encourage you that God is using this time and he's using this opportunity for people to continue to turn to him. Because the truth about this is that we have seen, and it's been very clear that the methods that we thought were going to be used to turn this around didn't take place. That's pretty obvious right now. We talked about that yesterday. And if you didn't watch my broadcast yesterday, please do, because I talked about how God really came up with an impossible solution, with a crazy solution to an impossible situation. And that's what we're dealing with right now. It looks that way. But God has already spoken the win into existence. He has already spoken this president into office. And I want you to start agreeing with that. Call him your president. Do not call that other person your president. And that is not because you're trying to be obstinate. That is not because you're trying to do the same thing that the leftists did when they actually refused to accept a legal result of an election. This is, you're speaking truth when you call President Trump your president. And so I want to really encourage you, because your words, you're created in God's image. And so, in the same way that the word of God is alive and active and powerful, the words that come out of your mouth are also powerful. And so, they have the power to bring forth life or to bring forth death. And so just remember that, because it is so important, that you speak those words of life and that you speak those words of victory. And I know that we are surrounded by people who don't believe that, and that's okay. And so I want to encourage you to save your breath and save your words, because you are going to come across people who don't have the faith that you have. And so don't cast your pearls before swine. Don't spend your breath or your energy on unwinnable arguments with people who aren't there yet. Just pray for them that they come to the place where they can see this, because there is going to be a day very soon where even the media, even the corrupt media, is going to have to report the truth. And it's going to be a very hard and bitter pill for some of them to swallow. And so your job right now is to continually be the red pill person, and not to drop black pills into people's lives. And so it's hard, especially with people who don't see it. But God's timing on this is exactly right. And I want you to go back to what I was saying, because had President Trump just walked into an easy victory on November 3rd, which we all know he deserved, what would we know about the corruption? What would we know about the feckless and destructive nature of the Republican Party, not just the Democrats? What would we know about interference in our elections? We wouldn't know any of that. Even if, for example, in the 2016 election, we know that there was an algorithm that was set to switch everything over for Hillary, and that we caught it and intercepted it. So think about this: if we caught it and intercepted it and broke their algorithm, then what makes you think that we didn't know what was going to happen in this election? We already knew. We already knew. And we also knew that they stole the nomination from Bernie in 2015. Think about that. Or in 2016. Think about that. We already knew. The president has been telling you all along. And so this story is not over. Isn't that encouraging? Are you encouraged? Let me see some of you in the chat. I think it's encouraging. So we're going to be dancing in the streets. Everybody around the world dancing in the streets. Right? It's so good, because his campaign song was YMCA, right? And he was dancing, right? And there's videos of the president dancing. It's going to be like that, just on steroids. Because here's the thing: do you think that with all that God is doing, that it's His will for us to be in another 4 to 6 to 10 years of just contention and fighting and civil war and all of that? Do you think that's God's will for this nation? He is a God of life, you know? So think about that. He is calling us into the next phase. And I'm talking worldwide. There's a shift coming, and it's not the destruction of our nation. That is not God's will for this world. It is not His will that any should perish. And so Yeah, somebody has a question. I'm looking at the questions in YouTube. Okay. It is going to be fabulous, isn't it? Somebody just said, um, why do you choose to do what you do? Again, thankful for your bravery. I do it because I love it, because it's in my blood, it's in my DNA. I love my country. I love everything about this nation. I've lived all over the world. I've traveled all over the world, and I've seen the alternative, and I've seen what it's like to be in a third world country, to live in a place where you're under the grip of Sharia law, for example. I've been in countries where I've been in countries where it's just the opposite of what we have, where they don't have a constitution like we have, and it's not pretty. I've been in places where people work day in and day out just to earn enough to put food on the table for that day, and it's not that's not the way God created us, and so that's part of it. I mean, my ancestors have been freedom fighters since before this country was a country. They came to this nation, to the New World, to evangelize this continent, and so that is just who I am. You know. Okay. For optics, how do they flip the script for the sleepers? That's a good question. I think that I think there's going to have to be, in some cases, a ripping off of the band-aid. I think that they're going to have to use the media, and either force the media, or in some cases maybe even take over the media, and push the narrative, push the truth out there, because people are going to have to get hit with a cold glass of water, because right now uh, our nation is, it's sort of like, if you've ever seen those movies where somebody is in a state of shock, and they're just hysterical, and you have to slap them out of it. You ever seen those? It's a little bit of a joke. It's a little bit of slapstick humor, but in a way, that's what I think has to happen, because we don't have time as a nation to put everybody through long therapy and detoxing and deliverance. We just don't have time to do that. And so I think that one of the things that God is going to do is literally just give people a slap across the face. I know that sounds a little harsh. I'm not advocating for violence. It's like the cold glass of water, like boom. Oh, okay. And then it's going to be like that. I just feel like that's something that God is going to do, because it has to be done in such a way that's merciful, and so that's one of the things that I think is going to happen. I hope. I mean, I pray I pray that's what's happened, because people just can't go on like this. They can't go on, believing what they do about the face diapers, for example. It's crazy. I went to the store yesterday, and I couldn't even get into the Whole Foods because they had the automatic doors shut, and so you had to pry them open. Have you ever had that happen, where you're like prying the door open and you couldn't get out of the store? I called the fire marshal today. I said, "Is this normal? Like, is this safe?" Because if my mom was with me, my late mother, she was handicapped, and if there was an emergency, there's no way she could get out of the store. And they're doing it because COVID, because they don't want people walking in without a mask on. So they're literally endangering lives in the event of a real emergency, a fire, whatever, a threat. Imagine if you're in a store like that and there's an active threat, and you can't get out because the door doesn't open. That's what they're doing. It's crazy. So they have to be just sort of, there has to be, like, this wake up, I think that's what's going to happen. So all right, James is asking another question. I'm sorry, my feed is it's not scrolling the way it should. Shoot. JW, yeah, I was trying to get out of the store, and I had to stop and do this to the doors. Can you imagine? I mean, like, when my mother was alive, I used to go with her shopping, and she had really severe arthritis, and she was in a wheelchair. So if you've ever been in one of those wheelchairs, like, can you imagine having to get up, like, in an emergency, a fire, an active shooter, whatever, and you go up to the door and you're trying to do this. And I called Whole Foods and they actually told me that uh they actually told me that they had somebody at the door who would open it for people. And I said, I hate to tell you this, but in a real emergency, the person at that door cannot be counted on because you have them stationed outside and you have them and they're not going to come through. You're relying on one individual who's paid minimum wage to guarantee the safety of all of your customers in the event of a catastrophic emergency where they have to evacuate the store. It's crazy, isn't it? So they just need okay. So let's see. Somebody asked, "How can we help you besides sharing links?" That's a great question. That's a good question. So we're at the part of the show where I can talk about that. So I think it is against fire codes, yeah. But I did report it. Yeah, the fire marshal said he was going to go pay them a visit. Okay, so pay attention to stuff like that. It's not legal. So how can you help me? So you can go to my website, marygracemedia.com, and click on support. I have a Venmo link, and I also have another link so you can do like a monthly subscription. And you can also buy superfoods. How does that help me? Well, I have a superfoods company. And so when you buy, I actually earn commission on that. And then you also get healthier. And I was just talking to a friend today who was telling me just how incredibly beneficial the superfoods have been to her. And I hear this a lot. I hear people tell me, I have this or this or this issue, and I have tried for years to find the right nutrition. I've been researching. These are people who are really smart, who've been researching and trying to get the right nutrition, and nothing has worked until they've gotten on our superfoods, whether it's like hormonal imbalances, weight loss, brain fog, different things, right? Inflammation, all of these things. And so what we have is I have a link that I have a voucher that you can get from me to save $100 or more off of a full month of our superfoods transformational pack. And that is actually 60 organic, non-GMO superfoods meals delivered right to your door. That's a great deal. And so if you send me an email, info@marygracemedia.com, you can get information, you can get that voucher, and you can place your order and get the superfoods delivered to you. We're actually going to be having a private transformation group again. We had one in January. It was so popular that we have more people wanting to do it every single day. And so you can write to me, info at Mary Grace Me. I got to slow that down. Info at marygracemedia.com, and you can get your voucher and you can get in on this transformation. So it's a private Facebook group for those of you who are still on Facebook, and it's also a private Telegram group just for my listeners and the people who are on my team. And so it's really great. It's really exciting. There's massive transformation. Delia is in the chat on YouTube right now. She's saying it works. I lost 60 pounds. And the best thing about this is that you're getting real food, real nutrition, great, super simple. One of the easiest things I've ever done. One of the best tasting things I've ever done. And you're going to be able to get that right delivered right to your door. And the greatest thing, one of the things Delia is telling me about this too, is that she doesn't get hungry. If you're that person that gets hangry and you have blood sugar issues, this is so good because it takes you out of that category. And so make sure that you send me an email, info@marygracemedia.com, because February is the month for self-care and self-love and caring for others. So if you have yourself that you want to get healthier, if you have family members or a partner that you want to do this with, this is a perfect time. So reach out to me and get that voucher so that you can save. info@marygracemedia.com. So that was a great question. Thank you for asking about that. Any more questions? I have a couple more minutes before I go. Yeah, Delia is very inspiring. She's actually working her way up to being a runner. She has run multiple marathons and she got into a situation where she put on more weight than she wanted. Who can attest to that? It happens. She has been walking to build back up, and she has, I think she's walking about 10 miles a day now. So just super inspiring, And she's one of many who have who have been on the superfoods. Now, not everybody wants to lose weight, and you don't actually have to be in the category of wanting to lose weight. If you are, if you're a mother, if you are pregnant or nursing or even trying to get pregnant, check in with me and get some information about these superfoods because the nutrition is just absolutely beyond compare. And I think that everybody who has partaken of this can attest to that. It's really tremendous. I love it. I'm gonna take a water break here. All right, so Delia is gonna get back on running next month. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. And let's see. Yeah, everybody give Delia some love in the YouTube. Let's see. Okay. Thank you to the moderators for putting up the information. If anybody's on Facebook, if somebody could put my email in the Facebook chat, that would be great. So if you're just coming in, if you're watching the replay, please make sure that you share this on Facebook into groups that you belong to. Also, make sure you leave a reply or a message, a comment in YouTube and Facebook because that helps get the show into the feed. The more comments we have, the more interaction we have, the more replies, the more thumbs up, the more positive replies and interactions, the more these companies will promote your content. And so you can watch me on Clout Hub as well. You can watch my replays on Clout Hub. And I think my Clout Hub videos also show up on my website. I haven't checked it lately, but they were. Cloud Hub has had a few issues, but it's actually coming along pretty nicely. Um, Trail running. I used to run. I used to run a lot. I was a runner, believe it or not. Yeah, so make sure that on YouTube that you hit the thumbs up on this broadcast, but also subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to Mary Grace Media and hit the bell so that you know when I go live. That's a great thing. So make sure that you're subscribing. Hey, Minnie, you're welcome. It's good to see you. Thanks so much for the positivity. I thought I lost everyone I was following when I got booted off. What would we do without you? Oh, you guys are so nice. Um, yeah, my story is such a story of God's grace because I haven't always been in this place. So I'm living testament that anybody can change and grow and get into a better place and inspire other people. But it's interesting if you really pay attention to what God puts in your heart at a very young age, he's always showing you your destiny really early on. Like I've always been a talker. Nobody could shut me up. I just I was talking about negative things. And so now I've really shifted and I'm able to talk positive. So that's a beautiful thing. Everybody can change. Joe on Facebook, I'm finishing the 30-day ultimate transformation. That's awesome. Hey, that's just let me just give everybody a reminder that if you're just coming to like the last week of your transformation, make sure you get your reorder in because you don't want to be caught up short on products. Okay, the worst thing in the world is running out of your superfoods and reaching for more and it's gone. Trust me, I know this from experience. You don't ever want to run out. And this is also a great product for stocking up. I always keep extra superfoods on hand. And so just be aware of that. Yeah, and if you need any advice about what to order next, just email me info@marygracemedia.com. And if you're loving your superfoods and you want to invite other people to do it with you, you can actually get your own referral code and I can show you how to do that. And you can actually make some money and get your superfoods paid for. So that's a pretty fun thing to do. Okay, looking at the challenges, looking at the You received your order and you ran out. Oh no. Message me, Joe. I'll help you. I'll show you what to do to get it back, get it a little bit quicker. Okay. Yeah. The one once you run out of superfoods once, it's not a good thing. Okay. So let's see. Um, oh, Delia, yeah, you should order the multi-pack of aminos because I think it's like buy three, get one free. That's what I always do. It really makes a lot of sense, especially if you're trying to put on if you're trying to build up muscle. It's just really you're going to take more of those. Can we show you what the food and packaging look like? JC, I will oh, you got it on time, Joe? Oh good. Okay. I think I misread that. I'll send you a video, Joe. I mean, I'm JC. Yeah. Okay. I think that's it. I'm gonna go. I've got to get up and get dinner going, and I will be back tomorrow at 5 o'clock Eastern, right here, Mary Grace Media, all over the internet, Clout Hub. I am on Gab, so go follow me over there. I just haven't been that active. So Mary Grace Media, and then my website is marygracemedia.com. You can click on support, or if you want to get your superfoods, info at marygracemedia.com. Oh, okay, Joe, core four, that's perfect. Awesome. Great. Okay. I'll see everybody soon. Thank you for being here. Thank you to all my moderators. Have a great day.